The war was finally over. After years of destruction, death, and silence in space, the Galactic Peace Summit had brought an end to the long conflict. Humans had fought bravely and fiercely, surprising even the oldest alien empires with their strength and strategy. Now, on the neutral world of Kavros, the victors were being honored. As part of the peace treaty, several alien royal houses offered rewards to the human commanders. Some rewards were ships, some were planets, and some were living beings. The choosing ceremony took place in the Grand Dome of Unity. It was filled with leaders, press, soldiers, and royals from every major species. One by one, the human commanders were called to step forward and choose their reward. When Commander Jason Reese was called, the crowd fell silent. He was young only, in his late 20s, but already a legend. They said he had led the defense of 3 colonies by himself, said he never left a soldier behind, that even enemy warriors had shown him respect. Jason stood tall in his simple human military uniform. His hair was short, his expression calm, his green eyes sharp. He looked at the line of alien princesses standing on the left platform. One was dressed in ceremonial robes, heads high, faces proud. They were the daughters of kings and queens from the defeated empires. Strong, beautiful, dangerous. Some had fire in their eyes, others wore blank faces, hiding their fear or anger. And then, at the far end of the line, was one who stood out, not because of beauty or strength, but because of how small and fragile she looked. She was thin, too thin. Her skin was pale lavender, her eyes a dim silver. Her dress hung on her like she barely had the energy to wear it. She didn't look at anyone. Her head was slightly bowed. She swayed gently, as if even standing was difficult. Princess Alira of the Yalari people, announced the speaker beside her, last of her line. She suffers from an energy sickness. Her people are nearly extinct. Jason looked at her a long time. Then he walked forward. The room buzzed with whispers. He passed by tall, powerful women with glowing eyes and armored dresses. He ignored the ones who smiled at him or offered a hand. He stopped in front of Alira. She lifted her head slightly. Their eyes met. Hers were dull and tired. She looked confused. Then Jason spoke clearly, so all could hear. I choose her. There was silence. Total silence. The crowd didn't understand. Even the other human commanders stared in shock. One alien ambassador coughed. Commander Reese, are you sure? Jason didn't blink. Yes. Alira's mouth opened slightly. Her hands trembled. She looked at the ground again, embarrassed. 2 guards came forward. One offered Jason a ceremonial blade, the symbol of ownership. Jason ignored it. Instead, he walked up the steps, gently took Alira's arm, and helped her down. She almost fell. He caught her. Why me? She whispered. Her voice was barely a breath. Jason looked at her kindly. 'Cause you're still alive. The flight back to his ship was quiet. Jason sat beside Alira in the small medical transport shuttle. She didn't speak. She looked out the window at the stars, her hand resting weakly in her lap. He handed her a thermal blanket. She took it. Without a word, when they reached the starship, Sparrow's Will, Jason led her to a private chamber, not a prison, not a cage, but a clean and quiet room with medical tools, soft lighting, and a real bed. Do you want to lie down? He asked. She nodded slowly. He helped her onto the bed. Oh. She sank into the pillows, eyes already half closed. She looked at him. You didn't take the crown princess of Vorel, or the empress of Aluth. Why? Jason sat in a chair beside her. Because they didn't need saving. She blinked. And I do. You're dying, Jason said calmly. But I've seen people like you before. People the galaxy forgets. I don't forget. Alira turned her face away. You chose a broken gift. Jason didn't answer. He simply reached into his pocket and took out a small pendant. It was a simple metal circle with strange alien letters on it. She looked at it. Her eyes widened a little. That's Yalari script. I found it on the battlefield, Jason said softly. During the siege of Lorith Prime, a Yalari medic died saving human and alien soldiers. She didn't care what species they were. She just helped. Alira looked surprised. It sounds like our way. I never forgot her, Jason continued. When I saw you standing there, I saw someone no one else would choose, and I remembered her. For the first time, Alira looked him in the eyes without fear. That's why you picked me? Yes, Jason said. Not as a reward, as a promise. She closed her eyes. Strange. Human, he smiled. That's what they say. Later that night, Jason stood in the ship's medical bay reviewing scans of Alira's body. Her life energy was nearly gone. The Yalari species use something called calamar, a deep inner energy linked to their emotions and spirit. Without it, they became weak, then faded. Jason rubbed his eyes. There has to be a way. Dr. Mina, the ship's medic, walked in. You really think you can help her? I don't know, he said honestly. But she deserves a chance. Dr. Mina sighed. You always pick the hardest path, Jason. Because someone has to, he replied. Meanwhile, in her room, Alira sat up slowly. She looked at herself in the mirror. She barely recognized the pale, tired girl staring back. No power, no kingdom, no reason to be chosen, she whispered. She touched her chest. Her heart still beat, but softly. A quiet flame. Then she remembered Jason's eyes. Not cold, not greedy, just honest. Alira lay back down, tears forming at the corners of her eyes. For the first time in years, she whispered a prayer not to gods, but to hope. Ending scene of Part 1. In the observation deck of the starship, Jason stood alone, looking at the stars. His hand rested over his jacket pocket, where he kept the Yellery pendant. Behind him, the ship's lights dimmed for night mode. A soft voice came through the speaker. Commander, the princess is stable. Vitals are low, but steady. Jason nodded. He whispered to himself. You won't die. Not while I'm breathing. The stars outside flickered like distant flames, and far away, deep in forgotten Yalari space, something stirred like a match waiting to be lit. The starship sparrows flew silently through space, heading toward Earth. Inside, the crew moved quietly, careful not to disturb the fragile peace on board. Princess Alira remained in the medical room. Her condition had not changed much. She still looked weak, her skin pale and her eyes dim, but something in her spirit had shifted since the ceremony. She no longer felt like a prisoner or a trophy. She noticed Commander Jason Reese came to see her every day. He brought her food. He brought her soft music from Earth, and most importantly, talked to her not as a reward, not as a symbol, but as a person. You're not afraid of me? Al, she asked one day, her voice soft. Jason chuckled. No. Should I be? Not by. Alien. You don't know what I could become. Jason sat on the edge of her bed. You're sick. You're alone. But you're still here. That takes strength. Alira smiled faintly. We Yellery don't believe in showing strength through violence. We believe in survival. Even in silence. One evening, as the ship entered a quiet region of space, Alira had a seizure. Her body shook violently. Her skin turned a pale gray. Alarms rang out in the medical bay. Jason rushed in. What's happening? Dr. Mina checked the vitals. Her life energy, her calamar is collapsing. She doesn't have much left. Jason grabbed Alira's hand. Alira, stay with me. Her breathing became shallow. Her eyes rolled back. A soft glow formed on her chest, then flickered. Out. Jason didn't know why, but he removed his glove and touched her bare wrist. In that moment, something strange happened. A spark. A pulse. A flicker of light between their skin. Alira's body stopped shaking. Her eyes slowly opened. Jason stared. What was that? She looked confused but amazed. I felt heat. Warmth. Real warmth. Later in the lab, Dr. Mina reviewed. The readings? This doesn't make sense, she said, pointing at the data. When you touched her, her energy stabilized. Briefly, Jason frowned. So my body somehow supports hers? It looks like your human neural energy connected with her dying calamar, Mina explained. Not healing it, but slowing the decay. Jason leaned against the table. How often would she need contact? Mina sighed. I don't know. But it's clear now your presence is keeping her alive. From that day, Alira spent more time with Jason. She moved from the medical bay to a small room beside the command center. She wore a light robe now, no longer the heavy ceremonial dress. Her steps were slow, but she walked on her own. She and Jason sat together, often eating, talking, sometimes just sitting in silence. Why are you really helping me? She asked one night under the soft glow of the ship's artificial moonlight. Jason thought for a moment. Because I've seen what happens when people look away. I used to do that. Then one day, someone didn't look away from me. Changed. Everything. Alira tilted her head. A woman? He shook his head. A child. A Yalari child. She blinked. You've met my kind before? Jason looked into the stars. During the early years of the war, we stormed a medical camp on Lorith Prime. We thought it was a weapons depot. He took a deep breath. It wasn't. It was a healing center. We destroyed it. People ran, screamed. I found a Yellery girl under the rubble, crying. I didn't know what to do. Alira listened quietly. A Yellery medic came back, even under fire. She shielded the child with her body, took the hit. Meant for me. Jason looked down at his hands. She saved me. After that, I stopped believing all aliens were our enemies. Alira looked away, her voice soft. She followed the way of the flame.
Us.
Jason nodded. I think about her every day.
Us.
Days passed. Something began to change in Alira. Her skin gained a little color. Her eyes became clearer. She no longer spoke in broken whispers, but full sentences. Her back straightened. Her steps became steady. She also laughed. Now not often. But when Jason told her about Earth food like pizza and chocolate milk, she laughed so hard she coughed. You humans are so strange, she said, wiping tears from her eyes. And yet you're still here, Jason teased. She looked at him, serious now. It's because of you. You didn't say anything. Then she added, I'm scared. Of what? Of getting better, she said. 'Cause I don't know what to do if I survive. Jason reached over and gently held her hand. Then we'll figure it out together. One night, while Jason was asleep at his desk, Alira walked quietly to the observation window. Her fingers brushed the glass. Stars shimmered beyond. She closed her eyes and placed a hand over her chest. She focused. Something deep inside her flickered like an old memory. She felt warmth, then heat. She opened her eyes. A faint blue flame hovered above her palm. It was small, weak, but real. Her voice trembled. It's back. After all these years, Jason stirred. He looked up and saw the light in her hand. He stood slowly, stunned. What is that? My flame, Alira whispered. A part of our energy. The calamar. It hasn't shown itself since I was a child. Jason stepped closer. You brought it back? She turned to him. Brought it back. Later, Alira sat with Dr. Mina and Jason. The flame, Alira explained, is not just energy. It's emotion, connection, purpose. Our people believed the calamar only glowed when the soul was awakened. Jason nodded. And mine somehow. Reconnected yours? Alira smiled gently. It seems our kinds are not so different after all. Dr. Mina added, if we study this connection, maybe we can help others like her. Alira's face changed. No experiments. Not like last time. Jason stood up. She's not a subject. She's a person. Mina raised her hands. Understand. We'll keep it quiet. Soon, news spread across military channels. Whispers, rumors. The Yellery princess is recovering. She's bonded to a human. She has power again. Some feared her return. Others were curious. A few believed she could become a symbol of peace. But one thing was clear. Something impossible was happening. A few days later, Lyra requested to speak with Jason in private. He met her in the meditation room, silent, dark, filled with starlight. Projection. She stood near the center, her posture straight, her eyes glowing slightly now. "I remember now," she said. Jason tilted his head. "Remember what? Our people's legacy? We weren't meant to fight. We were meant to guide, to heal, to unite." Jason stepped closer. "Then maybe it's time to start again." She turned to him. "There's one place we must go. The old sanctuary of the Yellari. It holds the core of our energy, the last source of true Calamar." Jason raised an eyebrow. "I thought it was destroyed. It's hidden," she said. "And it can still be awakened, but only if we go together." Jason smiled. "Then we leave tomorrow." The small shuttle cut through the darkness of space, heading toward the hidden sanctuary of the Yellari. Jason sat beside Alira, watching her closely. She looked stronger now. Her eyes had more light, but still, there was a faint sadness in her smile. "Do you think the sanctuary will help?" Jason asked quietly. Alira nodded. "It holds the Calamar core, the last true source of our people's energy. If we can awaken it, I can heal not just myself, but maybe all Yellari." Jason looked out the window. Stars moved slowly past, them like silent watchers. "And if we fail?" She met his gaze firmly. "Then we will have tried. That is all any of us can do." The journey was long. It passed asteroid fields and silent moons. The shuttle's small engines hummed steadily. Finally, Alira pointed to a glowing blue world on the screen. "There, that is Valora, the Yellari homeworld. It is dying, but the sanctuary lies beneath the surface." Jason studied the planet. It was covered in strange blue forests and silver mountains, but large areas looked cracked and gray like scars. "Why is it so empty?" Jason asked. "War, the destruction of the Calamar plants, the loss of our energy source. It's like the heart of Valora has stopped beating." Jason's voice was low. "We have to fix that." Lyra smiled faintly. "I hope the core still waits for us." When they landed, the air was thin, but breathable. The surface was cold, covered with frozen plants. Elira's steps were careful but steady. Jason followed, carrying some supplies. Together, they moved toward the entrance of the sanctuary, a large cave hidden between two cliffs. Alira touched the rock wall. "This is the seal. Only those connected by the Calamar can open it." Jason took her hand gently. "Let's try." Alira closed her eyes. She reached inside herself, calling to the weak flame inside. Jason held her hand. Tightly, suddenly, the wall glowed. Lines of light spread across the stone, and a hidden door slid open. Inside, the sanctuary was filled with glowing blue plants and strange machines covered in vines. Soft light filled the air like a gentle pulse. In the center was a large crystal, the Calamar core. It shimmered with a dim blue light. Alira approached it carefully. "This is the source of our people's life energy. Feeds the Calamar inside us." Jason looked at the crystal. "Can it be turned back on?" Alira nodded. "If we activate the connection." She placed her hands on the crystal. A soft hum filled the air, but nothing else happened. Jason looked worried. "Is it broken?" Alira shook her head. "No. It waits for the right energy." She turned to Jason. "We must combine our energy, human and Yellari." Jason frowned. "How?" She took his hands in hers. "Like before. Your human energy helped me live. Together, we can awaken the core." Jason hesitated, then closed his eyes and focused. Alira did the same. Suddenly, a bright blue light burst from the crystal. The room filled with warmth and power. Alira's body glowed softly, her eyes shining like stars. Jason felt energy flow. Through his hands, strange but not painful, the core pulsed faster. But then, alarms sounded. Outside, a group of alien soldiers appeared, weapons raised. "Stop. You cannot awaken the Yellari power," their leader shouted. Jason and Alira stood. Together, ready, Jason drew his plasma pistol. "We won't stop." Alira's hands glowed with blue fire. The fight began. Jason fired his pistol, dodging blasts. Alira moved gracefully, her blue flames burning away enemy weapons. Together they fought side by side. Jason covered her. When she faltered. Alira healed him with a touch, her energy restoring his strength. The battle was fierce but short. The soldiers retreated. After the fight, Alira looked at Jason. "We did it." Jason smiled. Together. The core's light grew stronger. Alira's strength returned. She laughed. Sound like music. But the war was not over. The galaxy watched. Some feared the Yellori's return. Others hoped for peace. Jason and Alira prepared for what came next. The restored Calamar core pulsed softly in the heart of Velora's sanctuary. Its blue light spread through the cavern, warming the cold stone walls. The ancient energy of the Yellori people had begun to flow again. Outside, the cold air was filled with tension. News of Alira's revival and the power she now wielded spread quickly across the galaxy. Some saw hope in the returning flame of a lost race. Others feared the consequences. Commander Jason Reese and Princess Alira stood together at the sanctuary's entrance, watching the horizon. Their bond had deepened from mere survival to something stronger: trust, respect, and quiet love. "This power," Alira said, her eyes glowing faintly, "it's more than just energy. It's our future. But the galaxy will not accept it easily." Jason nodded. "We'll face that together." Back on Earth, the Galactic Council gathered urgently. They debated the risks of letting a powerful alien force rise again. Some wanted to isolate the Yellori sanctuary. Others wanted to negotiate. Counselor Tail, a stern alien diplomat, said, "If Alira's people regain strength, it could upset the fragile peace. We must act." But human representatives argued, Alira is not a threat. She is proof that cooperation can heal old wounds. Jason knew their words alone would not stop the coming storms. Meanwhile, factions hostile to the Yellori planned attacks. They believed the fragile princess was a symbol of weakness they could destroy once more. One night, Jason awoke to alarms blaring across the sanctuary. Outside, enemy ships surrounded the planet. "Attack formation," he said calmly. "Prepare to defend." Alira stood beside him, her blue flame burning bright on her palm. "They fear us." Jason smiled. "Let them come." The enemy ships fired, sending missiles crashing into the surface. The sanctuary shook. Jason and Alira moved quickly. Using her renewed powers, Alira created a shield of blue energy around the sanctuary's core. The light pushed back the attacks. Holding firm, Jason commanded the sanctuary's defense systems. He fired plasma turrets, guided drones, and coordinated with nearby allies. The battle was fierce but brief. The attackers retreated but not without damage. After the fight, Jason checked Alira's condition. Though stronger, the effort drained her. "You must rest," he said gently. Alira shook her head. "I have to protect my people." Jason took her hand. "And I will protect you." Their hands touched, and a soft glow sparked between them. Days passed, and the sanctuary grew stronger. Yellori plants blossomed, filling the air with life energy. The Calamar spread through the land, healing the scars of war. News reached the galaxy. The Yellori were alive again. At the Galactic Council, Jason spoke boldly. "The Yellori are not a threat. They are a symbol of hope. We can build peace, not fear." Adored. His words echoed through the chambers. Alira's voice joined his in a message sent across the stars. "Our strength comes from unity, not division." Together, Jason and Alira established a new academy on Velora. Humans and aliens came to learn the ways of peace, healing, and strength through connection. The young Yellard children played with human children, their hands glowing faintly as the Calamar sparked between them. But threats still lurked. Shadows moved in the galaxy, waiting. Jason and Alira knew their fight was just beginning. The stars shone brightly over Velora, bathing the planet in silver light. The sanctuary thrived. The blue glow of the Calamar core spread across the land, healing wounds old and new. The once dying Yellori people now walked proudly, their energy. Returning, Commander Jason Reese stood beside Princess Alira at the edge of the new academy they had built. It was a place where humans and aliens learned together, fighting not with weapons, but with knowledge and trust. Jason watched as young Yellari children played with human children. Their laughter was music in the cool night air. The blue sparks of calamar flickered gently between their fingertips, a symbol of hope, unity, and new beginnings. Alira turned to him, her eyes shining. "Look at them, our future." Smiled, stronger than anyone ever believed. Not everyone welcomed this new era in the Galactic Council. Some voices called for fear and control. Counselor Tail spoke again, his tone sharper than before. "The Yellari's return threatens the balance. We must keep them under watch." Jason replied firmly, "The true threat is fear itself. If we unite, no race can destroy another." Alira added, "We are proof that strength comes from connection, not domination." Their words stirred debate, but slowly, many began to see the truth. Still, enemies waited in the shadows. Old rival empires, jealous and scared, plotted to strike. One night, Scots detected a fleet approaching Valora's ships filled with weapons designed to destroy the Calamar core and crush the Yellari. Spirit Jason stood on the Academy's balcony, looking at the stars. Lyra joined him, calm but ready. "We face a choice," she said softly. "Fight or surrender." Jason shook his head. "We fight, but not just with weapons." He turned to her. "We fight with everything we've learned. Trust, hope, and unity." The battle was fierce. Enemy ships fired missiles. Shields glowed under the attacks. Alira called on the Calamar energy, creating walls of blue flame to protect the sanctuary. Jason led the defense, coordinating human and alien forces in perfect harmony. Together, they pushed the attackers back. When the battle ended, the cost was high, but so was the victory. Valora was safe. The Yellari were free to live and grow. Jason and Alira knew this was only the beginning. In the weeks that followed, the Academy flourished. Students trained not just in combat, but in understanding. They learned about different cultures, about respect, about peace. The galaxy began to change. One day, Jason received a message from Earth. The Galactic Council had passed a new law. The Yellari would be protected as a sovereign people. Their sanctuary was declared a place of peace. Jason smiled and showed the message to Alira. She reached for his hand. "We did it," he nodded. Together. Years later, Jason and Alira stood before a crowd on Valora. They watched as children, human and Yellari alike, held hands and released blue sparks into the sky. The Calamar flame burned bright not just in the Yellari, but in all who chose to believe in unity. Final scene, Jason whispered to Alira, "You were never the weakest." She smiled, her eyes full of light. "And you were never just a soldier." Together, they watched the stars, knowing their legacy had only just begun.